Hi, it's Molly. Welcome back to my channel. As I wanted to do a part 5 for you in this ongoing discussion of the USA Pluto return energies and the other big energy signatures that are happening that are quite intense as we move through the rest of 2022 into 2023. Now, we have some very significant cycles unfolding all at the same time. And in this series, I've had previous videos for you discussing more about this chart, discussing more about the specific Pluto return energies, as well as the Neptune opposition energies. So I'm not going to repeat myself. Please check out those videos so you can see what I share in terms of the historical perspective of these transiting planets. Now, in this chart, I want to first let you know what we're looking at. So in this inner circle is the USA natal chart that I have been referencing. And then outside here, the outer circle is the transiting planets. And these energies are what we are moving through. This chart is set at November 24th, 2022. And that's an important date, but there's actually multiple important dates here, and we're going to be looking at them. So the Pluto return energies is when Pluto returns to its natal placement in the chart, which is a significant timeline to look at and is rare. Since the last time Pluto was at 27 degrees of Capricorn, at this degree was 1776, and we are experiencing the Pluto return to that exact point of 27 degrees in 2022 until 2023. Now, Pluto first reached 27 degrees of Capricorn in February and March 2022, then was retrograde June to August 2022, then's direct December to January 2023, and is retrograde again September to October 2023. And by the way, this is a retrograde in the USA natal chart. It's a retrograde Pluto. So when Pluto is retrograde, making those connections, that's when the energy is the most intense. And I think that what we are moving through here across these 2 years is a very deep revolution and reconfiguration of the energies. And that's why it's very significant, as well as long-term ongoing developments. Now, Pluto is the energy that is about transformation and empowerment, but in order to move through that process, something needs to be destroyed. There are collapses, things that are destroyed in a way that they're not meant to be rebuilt in the same manner or with the same energy. So it is understanding what needs to go, what has served its purpose, and to also maintain a long-term vision of what can be rebuilt, what's meant to be rebuilt. And this is an ongoing process that Pluto will actually keep going back into Capricorn until 2024, and then it moves into Aquarius where it stays there. But in the meantime, it's a very deep scrubbing. It's a very deep, intense energy. And when Pluto is retrograde, we don't see it. We don't always see what's transforming or being purged. We don't see what is permanently ending or shifting. We don't see it until Pluto is done with this degree point and even done in Capricorn. So we're feeling and sensing deep changes within our energies, and yet there's a lot that we're not seeing in terms of clear results. There's a lot of power struggles, control dynamics. This is all what's happening behind the scenes, especially with a retrograde Pluto. So this energy is ongoing into 2023 and even 2024. And then the energy of the intensity will move on and move forward. So again, please watch my previous videos where I talk about this even more. The other significant energy at this time is that the US is also experiencing a Neptune opposition. So the natal Neptune is at 22 degrees of Virgo. And transiting Neptune in Pisces is opposing it by exact degree, 22 degrees of Pisces. And this has been ongoing since April 2021, where Neptune goes back and forth across this opposition point. The energy was intense April to May 2021, July to September 2021, February to March 2022, and then November to January 2023. So the Neptune opposition being the strongest in 2021 and 2022. And of course, that has been revealed as the very big health issues and the energies of looking at how we take care of ourselves, of our bodies, where we are trying to basically see through the illusions and the disillusions. We're trying to find a truth that Neptune has been clouding up, and the energies have been mixed. There's a lot going on that it's hard to grasp something with a Neptune opposition. It's hard to understand what's real, what's true, what is really happening, and what is just propaganda and fake messages and fake news, right? This would also be the cancel culture that we've been experiencing. And ultimately, this Neptune dissolves and removes. And we've had to use our intuition for our own navigation system. We've had to trust what is correct for us, trust what is true for you, and go into those messages in order to basically weave through all of the disinformation that can take you away from connecting with your own truth. And of course, this is different for everyone, but that Neptune opposition is a time of confusion. And so we have two very big energies here happening at the same time. Concurrent energy cycles that are each rare, the Pluto return, the Neptune opposition. And that's where the USA has been basically moving through some very big changes and shifts that are confusing and aren't quite real yet, meaning what do I believe? What do I trust? What is something that is a fact? And those facts can be hard to grasp at times. So very big, rare energies happening at the same time. And then let's just throw into the mix this Mars return. So the USA has Mars at 21 degrees of Gemini and is experiencing this Mars in Gemini retrograde that is working with the natal Mars most intensely October and November 2022, and then again in March 2023. So you'll notice that this Mars in Gemini at 21 degrees natally squares Neptune, and so is also squaring this Neptune opposition. And Mars returns to this place every 2 years. So it's not significant on its own. It's a 2-year cycle to have a Mars returning to where it is natally. But this is an activating trigger Mars that is working with the natal Neptune and the transiting Neptune energies. And it's activating what we are thinking, saying, the messages, the communications coming through around the Neptune energies. So what can I rely on? What are the facts? What is the true data here? And Gemini is about the particulars. Gemini is about the numbers and linear thinking and the confusion around all of that, with so much stimuli, so many messages, competing agendas. Mars being a trigger, Mars being action, Mars wanting to move something forward, but being disillusioned with the Neptune energies. Mars might not know what he's fighting for, what side to be on. This can be playing both sides. Mars and Gemini, duplicity, being on both sides, turning two sides against each other, lots of intense language and words. So big activations here on its own, but the square to the Neptune energies is what's creating the sense of, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to believe. What is true? What is real? What is the actual science or data or the agenda going on? And we associate Mars with war. And I think that what we're seeing is how actually this Mars working with the Neptune energies could be tempered right now. So Mars is not in his strength when he has a square to Neptune, which he does, as I said, 3 times, October and November 2022, and then again in March. So this Mars wants to take a stand or wants to assert something and put information out there. It's a communication, putting words to action. This can also be looking at, what do I need to uphold or take action on? But the square to both of these Neptune energies is a split, duality. There's a sense here of, again, I feel it as like playing both sides. So it's not a clear, strong Mars. There's secrets that he has access to with the information, because especially Neptune and Pisces has what's not disclosed or what is not being said. So this is a Mars that does not know how to move forward directly. It's almost like the energy is so dispersed and scattered that the Mars energy is like, well, what agenda am I following or initiating or standing up for? So it's a Mars that's having difficulty. And it's a Mars that's really caught literally in the crosshairs of this Neptune opposition. Almost like, how is disinformation being used against the people or against both sides? And that's part of it's not just the propaganda, it's like what is being said and there's nothing behind it. It's just talking, lots of talking, and then it goes away and then nothing happens or nothing transpires. So it's an interesting energy that is confusing and creates confusion. So this is the strong energy that we have at this time here. The Pluto return, the Neptune opposition, and then the Mars return squaring both of the natal Neptune and transiting Neptune. Then I wanted to bring your attention to a few other things coming up, where in February 2023, Saturn in Aquarius is going to make an exact conjunction to the moon in Aquarius at 27 degrees. Saturn in Aquarius has not been here for about 30 years. And Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. And Saturn is bringing something to the moon. And in these types of charts, the moon is the public, the people, families, communities, neighborhoods, especially in Aquarius. our connection points, our networks, the people we know in the world. And Saturn making a conjunction to this moon in February 2023 means that something lands or connects with the public. So this could be when the supply chain issues are felt the strongest. I would say actually the first quarter of 2023, supply chain issues, inflation, job markets, the economy, this is when things really hit the people, hit land. And it's the reality check that Saturn brings, where Saturn has been in contact with what is going on, and we've been feeling it, sensing it, and certainly ripple effects. But by the time Saturn gets here in February 2023, the reality check happens. And you think about this after the holidays, after companies announce profits and losses, about how there's going to be something that comes through that can feel like that, not only the Saturn reality check, but also a turning point of, something that needs to be reconfigured because of the challenges, new solutions needed, new ways of understanding all of this. And then Saturn moves on the next month in March 2023 and enters Pisces. So the energy here, there's a seriousness with Saturn. And that's again when I think that there could be more that the everyday people start to feel when this Saturn makes a connection to the moon in Aquarius. Again, that only happens every 29 years, 30 years or so. And there's something here that we have to deal with and understand and be mature about, looking at our responsibilities and our commitments and what needs to go. The moon is certainly the housing market as well, since the moon relates to home, where you live. So I don't ever want to be dire, but what I'm sharing is just, this is why astrology is beneficial. It gives us a heads up on all these cycles. I mean, we've been moving through big health issues. There's no denying that. We've been moving through significant energies changing on the global stage. There's no denying that. We've been moving through so much confusion and way too much information, contradictory information, information that splits people. All of that has been strongly activated and will continue into 2023. And then I wanted to show you here how there's also going to be a Chiron return, April 2024 into 2025. And then there's also a Uranus return when transiting Uranus gets to 8 degrees of Gemini. That's 2027 to 2028. So the returns are always significant in any chart because that's when the energy returns to where it was originally birthed. But we are at a new level of consciousness. We are at a new level of awareness. There has been evolution. There is evolution in every cycle. The Chiron return happens every 49 years, and the Uranus return around every 84 years. So these are cycles that we've had. We've had these ongoing cycles, but we have quite a lineup of significant astrological energies throughout this decade that are dramatically changing the USA energy signature, and that has a ripple effect. Now, other countries have had their Pluto returns, and other countries that have Pluto returns have seen those in power, which is Pluto, change. A change in power, a shift in what is important, the priorities, a shift and a change in the consciousness of that country. So it's in some ways a formula that we are aware of, where there are changes in leadership, changes in leaders, changes in those who run the country, who are in control, changes in business, Wall Street, corporations. That is Capricorn. It's the bigger structures of our world, the governments and the institutions that we've put in place to create a society. And that is all changing, and that throws us off. And it's mentally a lot to wrap your head around at times and to know what to do next. What do I do next? This Mars can have analysis paralysis with the squares to Neptune. And this Mars is like, I don't know what to do, but I need to do something. So there's a lot going on here. And the USA is changing permanently. By the end of the decade, the country will look very different. There could be more splits, divisions, breakups, remember, collapse. The country is going to have a different beginning point after Pluto moves on, after Pluto moves into Aquarius and stays, especially in 2024. And this is where we also know that we're here for it. We're here to do the rebuilding. We're here to restructure. We're here to move through these changes and continue to make the best possible decisions for ourselves, for our families, for our communities, for our neighborhoods, new priorities, emerging new understandings, new choices. And of course, the effects that we've been moving through with inflation and changes in oil and supply chain issues that probably aren't going away anytime soon. Even if it's felt like there have been some solutions or short-term fixes, there's still going to be some things that close. And in fact, the Aquarius energies is what Saturn has been testing, but then Pluto enters Aquarius and shuts things down permanently as well. And I have another video for you discussing that, of Saturn in Aquarius followed by Pluto in Aquarius, so please check that out. But just know that this is very big energy that we haven't experienced before, and it is worldwide, because I know, some of you write comments that, you're in other countries and yes, other places around the world, but this has a ripple effect, especially because of how the USA energy signature is dominant, and also because of how international relations are so wrapped up together these days, how everything is intertwined and everything is coming together or overlapping, and it affects all parts of the globe more than ever. And yes, I'm an astrologer, and some of you know I have a master's degree in international relations and diplomacy. And so it's been really fascinating from that educational perspective to then apply the astrology of these times and look at how our relations across the board with other countries are changing and being shifted into new places. And ideally, perhaps it's just an ideology, that can lead us to new ways of interacting with one another, of raising the consciousness on the planet, of seeing how we have more in common than differences, of really digging into more of what really matters in this lifetime, even amongst these big changes and this very powerful evolutionary period. So this means it will continue to affect you. It will continue to affect me and us, and we won't always know with clarity what the answers are. But your soul knows why you're here. Your soul understands that you were needed at this time, and that there's always a rebuilding. There's always new solutions to create. There's always new directions to go, new ways to grow, new ways of really looking at what matters to you in your family, locally, nationally, globally. So that's why I've been doing this series, is because even though it is focused on the USA, it really affects everyone to some extent because of how everything is interrelated these days. So just wanted to offer you more to look at, think about, and consider. Also show you how significant this energy is at this time. And as I said, if you'd like to go back and look at the other videos I've done for you in this series, please feel free to do so. I think I did those videos, it's been a few years. I think it was 2019, talking about a health crisis. But you'll remember too that in 2018, I was talking about how the world was going to change permanently and that it would be something we've never experienced before. And that's also what we are moving through with this Pluto return. The United States is going to look like a very different country. It's going to have a different energy, especially by the end of this decade. And we're here for it. This is what we're here for, amongst many other things and many other priorities. But there is only more for us to learn, develop, and grow, as well as new ways for us to create and recreate based on where we're at in the consciousness on the planet. Thank you so much for joining me. Wishing you a beautiful day ahead or whenever you are watching this. And I'll be back soon here on YouTube with another astrology video for you.